On a night that was supposed to be the most beautiful moment of her life, the grand ball turned into a living nightmare. In front of everyone, her dignity was crushed and she was falsely branded as evil, mocked and despised by the nobles. But what no one knew was that behind that calm smile lies a mysterious supernatural power, strong enough to turn the tables and destroy everyone who dared to humiliate her. From a falsely accused girl to an elegant and unstoppable fighter, her story of revenge begins now. The anime begins by introducing us to Scarlett L. Venon, the daughter of Duke Venon and fiancée to Kyle von Parison, the second prince of the Kingdom of Paris. In the middle of a ball, Kyle suddenly decides to call off their engagement and announces that Taranza Hopkins of the Hopkins barony will be his future wife in her place. Everyone in the room applauds the announcement of the new engagement, and Taranza promises to fall deeper in love with the prince each day. Kyle praises how charming and devoted she is, saying that she's completely unlike the emotionless Claude over there. He mentions that the 17 years he spent playing fiancé to a dull and stupid woman like Scarlett has been the one blemish on his otherwise spectacular life. Scarlett remains calm and composed at all times, reminding him that their engagement was arranged by the royal family and the ducal house of Van Mon before they were even born. However, as if things couldn't get any worse, Kyle then accuses her of a crime she never committed to terminate the engagement. He mentions that Taranza told him everything about how Scarlett grew jealous of his blossoming affection for her and began to bully her so spitefully at the academy. Scarlett clarifies that she has no memory of that and she doesn't recall even meeting Taranza before this day. The prince takes this as an offense, assuming that Taranetta barely existed to her because she wasn't in the special curriculum like her. Scarlett remains silent at this, so Kyle decides to announce her crimes, saying that she defaced Taranetta's notebooks, spread nasty rumors about her, and even pushed her down the stairs. Tired of his lies, Scarlett decides that she's heard enough, so she tells him that she'll allow him to make his own judgments and accept the termination of their engagement. Kyle isn't surprised at all by her indifference, saying that in stories and plays, a woman like her would typically be called the villainess. Taranessa makes fun of her, but knowing that she's seen as a villainess, Scarlett decides to stop restraining herself. That's why she asks Kyle for one final thing before she leaves, and though he completely refuses to please her, Taranza makes him change his mind, reminding him that it's her last request. He expects her to ask for money, jewelry, or anything else, but to his surprise, Scarlett doesn't say anything and simply approaches them calmly. Once in front of them, she turns her hand into a fist and launches at Taranza to punch her in the face with no restraints. Before seeing the outcome of this, it is explained why Scarlett has lost control of her emotion. It's clear that she feels a great deal of rage against Taranza and that fool of a prince, but to fully convey the extent of that rage, it's necessary to look back to the past. Ever since she was a child, there was nothing she loved more than clobbering others. Her brother, Leonardo Elvandian, scolds her for this one day, but Scarlett tells him that the violence she inflicts is far from indiscriminate, and she has a reason for what she does. She claims that she does it for the greater good, but Leonardo doesn't believe this at all, since he saw her beaming while being covered in a little boy's blood she just had hit. He reminds her that she'll have her official coming out at next week's ball, so she needs to control her temper and act like a lady. Scarlett decides to listen to him, so the next week during the ball, she maintains her best behavior. There she meets Kyle for the first time, but it's clear that he doesn't like her from the very beginning. He accuses her of being stupid and tells her that she'll work for him from now on. Of course, Scarlett wasn't happy about this, and that's how she met the second prince of the realm and her fiancé. Soon after that, Kyle began to bully her in the pettiest ways imaginable, and there was nothing she could do about it. She tried telling her father, but he only apologized and said that the royal family arranged the engagement, so he's powerless to end it. Having no other choice, Scarlett endured and endured to the furthest limits of her patience. Then, sometime later, she turned 15 and began attending the Royal Academy for Nobles. There, she's known as the Icy Rose, the universally talented pride of the special curriculum. Despite this, Kyle approaches her one day in front of everyone to say that Duke von Mien ordered her to support him around school, which means she's now his slave. By this time, Scarlett had already developed a backbone of steel, which left her unfazed by any treatment Prince Kyle dealt out. That day, at lunch break, Kyle bursts into her classroom, screaming that she's supposed to be buying lunch for him. Scarlett responds in a monotone way, apologizing and saying that she'll do it right away. Of course, Kyle isn't satisfied by this apology, so he decides that she needs punishment. Her friends try to intervene, but he simply stops them with a threatening gaze, and Scarlett asks them not to worry about her. Kyle takes Scarlett outside to complain about her managing to be on the special curriculum while he was dropped to common. She quickly understands why he's in a particularly bad mood today, and Kyle asks her to enjoy her sense of superiority while it lasts. He suddenly pulls a knife out of his coat, saying that he never liked that silver hair of hers, so he'll cut it off and take it back to his fellows in the common curriculum. Scarlett asks him to refrain, warning him that she'd be forced to tell her father and he could nullify their engagement. Kyle exclaims that Duke Van Mien is a dog who does whatever his father tells him. Their engagement is on until he says otherwise, so she's going to spend her whole life as his slave. Scarlett's hand turns into a fist as she realizes that this is not something she can quietly endure. Before she can do anything, Kyle's older brother, the first Prince Julius von Palestine, stops their lovers quarreling. He gets down from a tree and tells Kyle that diversions like this are why he was dropped to the common curriculum. Julius ignores Kyle's dagger and approaches Scarlet, apologizing for the offense his brother caused her. She quickly hides her fists and dismisses it, saying that this is typical behavior for him. Julius is a little surprised to hear this since he has heard about his little brother engaging in childish bullying of his fiancée, but he hopes that threatening her with a dagger isn't a daily occurrence. Feeling cornered, Kyle denies everything and asks his assistant Sigurd to get Julius out of there. However, Sigurd reminds him that he can't do that since Julius is a member of the royal family as he is, so he cannot defy him, even if it's an order. Unable to do anything, Kyle decides to run away, feeling angrier than ever. So, Scarlet knows that he'll come back tomorrow with worse. She still thanks Julius for his aid, though she knows that he must have realized she was about to hit Kyle. Julius tells her that he was just reading on top of a tree since, when he does it in the classroom, he tends to get swarmed by obnoxious sycophants. Here it is explained that the Kingdom of Palestine has two princes. The first prince, Julius, is the son of the queen and current heir to the throne, but his tolerance for underhanded behavior has led to a faction of wicked nobles who view him as a threat to their power, attempting to raise Kyle, the foolish second prince, to the throne. This has led to daily clashes at the academy between their factions, and Scarlet prefers not to get involved. Julius suddenly tells her that he wouldn't mind spending more time in the classroom now that he's found something much more interesting than a book. It's clear that he's referring to her, but Scarlet's only answer is to glare at him, clearly not amused. Soon after that, the aptitude test results come out, and everyone is surprised to see Julius got the first place. Scarlet has always placed first in the 3 major subjects, but he got perfect scores in every subject. In the swordsmanship and magic exams, she's gotten as high as 99S, but never received a perfect score. Even after besting the instructors, she was told her form was poor or that the construction of her magic circles was sloppy, things fully up to the instructor's discretion. Scarlet is now bitter that Julius earned the perfect scores that she was always denied. Still, when she sees him, she calmly congratulates him on his top placement. However, her calm and aloof demeanor cracks slightly when he teases her, saying that placing first with perfect scores was easier than he expected. Scarlet immediately takes that as a challenge, so she spends the following days training, trying to perfect her knowledge and skills, to pay back 10 times over whatever he does to her. Sometime after that, she manages to score first on the aptitude test, so Julius pats her head and congratulates her, saying that he enjoyed watching her secret training after class. Her good mood disappears in less than a second, and some people in her class start thinking that they have that kind of relationship. Even her friends assume that Julius held back this time because he wanted to see her happy, and that rumor starts spreading around the school. Scarlet is not happy about this, but she now knows how Julius operates, so she decides to never rise to his provocations again. The next day, Julius approaches her casually several times, but Scarlet completely ignores him. On her way back home after school, she can't take it anymore and asks him why he's been following her. Julius assures her it's just a coincidence, but this just pisses her off even more because it's clear that he's doing it on purpose. Seeing her expression, he can't help but laugh, saying that he truly enjoys the ever-changing faces of the icy rose. Even though she may think she's putting on a stony visage, watching her has made it clear that every single thing she's feeling shows on her face. Scarlet is a little surprised by this because she thought her facial muscles died after she decided to endure Prince Kyle's treatment. They decide to chat a little as they walk, and Scarlet realizes that she hasn't seen Kyle in a while, which makes her think that the reason Julius keeps pestering her is that he's trying to keep Kyle away. Seeing her expression, Julius tells her that her feelings are showing again. He mentions how beautiful her silver hair is, saying that he could not bear losing it to a fool's foolish act. Julius confesses that over the course of his life so far, she is the most interesting and peculiar animal he's seen. Scarlet's expression falls immediately, but Julius continues lightheartedly talking about how rare it is to come across a specimen, and so worthy of observation. He even shows her his wildlife observation notebook and asks her if she'd like to be engaged to him instead of Kyle. Of course, Scarlet instantly declines his offer with a deadpan expression. These events resulted in such a buildup of anger and stress, so she spent ages dreaming of slugging those two princes. And now, returning to the present time, thanks to the spark provided by Taranza, she can at last unleash the explosion. Her fist connects with Taranza's face in a brutal blow, taking her down in a second. Kyle can only observe the scene, completely horrified, and Scarlet's threatening gaze keeps him from trying anything stupid. She tells him that she's also furious with his supporters, who are gathered here. Since all this time, as a fiancée to a royal, she's endured the ridiculous treatment of Kyle and his evil, noble flunkies. Then they supported his absurd cancellation of their engagement and rendered her years of suffering meaningless. That's why Scarlet decides right then that she's now free to kick their asses. She uses magic to put the guards down into a slumber, making it clear that her power is off the charts. Soon enough, Scarlet unleashes her rage, giving all those nobles a beatdown they'll never forget. As she beats everyone up, some nobles start recognizing her, realizing that the other name she's known by is the Mad Dog Noblewoman. In just a few minutes, Scarlet is already done, and despite the blood on her face, she mentions that it's been a lovely night. Finally, she approaches Kyle with a fist covered in blood, and though her brother bursts into the room trying to stop her, Scarlet gives the prince the final blow, making him crash against the wall. Julius walks in, laughing at the scene, and Scarlet is completely satisfied now, saying that she feels a lot better. Her brother Leo is horrified by what she's done, but Julius isn't fazed at all, since he inquired about the situation when he saw the nobles fleeing. Scarlet explains that they committed wrongdoings of which she wouldn't dare to speak. Then, rather than show any trace of remorse, they continued to act in so audacious a manner that she was forced to punish them on the spot. Julius asks her to explain more to the point, so Scarlet directly tells him that they pissed her off, so she punched their teeth in. The prince can only laugh about this, while Leo is more horrified and concerned about the whole situation. Julius is just happy that she showed her true colors at last, because since the day they first met, he's been wondering when she might unleash those fists of hers. The merciless thrashing she gave those fools was probably quite a sight to see, so it was a little unkind that she did it when he wasn't there. Leo continues worrying about their family's reputation spiraling down the drain again, but Julius tries to reassure him, saying that Scarlet won't be charged for this. While they speak, Scarlet suddenly feels like their voices are growing distant, and before she knows it, she falls unconscious in a second. Sometime after that, Scarlet can hear the sound of a bell in her sleep, and she knows that it's the bell of the Church of Chrono, god of time. Just then she understands that she must have used too much of Chrono's power. Once her eyes open, the first thing she sees is a boy in a maid outfit holding a dagger to kill her. Scarlet simply punches his face, saying that it's dangerous to point knives at people. That blow embeds him into the wall, and Leo rushes into the room after hearing it, completely horrified to see that this is the first thing she does after 3 days unconscious. Not even the doctor could find out what was wrong, and he thought she would never wake up again. Scarlet apologizes for making him worry, saying that she shouldn't have been so reckless. Now that she's finally awake, Julius decides to have a word with her, informing her that the royal family has finalized the termination of her engagement, and her father has also given his assent. Kyle has been disinherited for the trouble he caused because rumors have been circulating for some time about illegal ownership and trading of slaves in the Second Prince's faction. This will provide an opportunity to crack down on all of them. Julius tells Scarlet that she won't be punished because the royal family considers her indispensable. However, she'll likely remain single until domestic matters settle, and that will mean delaying her wedded bliss for a time. The bright side to this is that she's gained something priceless in exchange. It seems rumors of her deeds have gotten around the city, and people now know her as the champion who sent a horde of evil, self-interested nobles to prison with just her fists. As she stood alone, covered in blood, beautiful and terrible, they've given her a nickname: the Bloodstained Lady. Leo cries out of frustration because people seemed about to forget the Mad Dog Noblewoman nickname. Julius simply laughs as always, but mentions that things will be rather busy around here in the coming days. Quite a few of the nobles she exposed were important men in the national government, and there will likely be many replacements. Most pressing of all, the organizer of the fools in the Second Prince's faction, Prime Minister Godwin Bean Carmine. Leo explains that the king and Prince Julius thought there might be someone pulling the strings behind the Second Prince's faction, so they formed a plan to deal with all the corrupt nobles at once. Julius mentions that they formed an organization, the Crown Investigatory Office, to carry it out, and Leo's the head of that organization. Scarlet says that her brother has been acting even more harried of late, so she wants to know if that's due to his time spent with the First Prince. Julius tells her that he resents the implication because the more likely cause would be all the trouble she started. Leo clarifies that it's actually both of them, but Julius quickly changes the subject, wanting to introduce the one who exposed the Prime Minister's involvement. It's an agent deployed by the CIO to infiltrate the Second Prince's faction, Saigo Forgrave. Scarlet instantly recognizes him as one of Kyle's assistants in the past, and Saigo immediately apologizes, saying that his behavior towards her in the past has been utterly unacceptable. Despite how affected he seems, Scarlet knows that it never actually bothered her, but she takes the opportunity to test him. She tells him that she was convinced that he had sworn fealty to Prince Kyle. So it was a most convincing performance, and she had no idea the Knights had such talented actors. Cigarette is completely consumed by guilt at this point, so he even allows Scarlet to clobber him, saying that he resigns himself to her fists. She clearly likes his admirable resolution, so she launches a strong fist at him, deceiving him with a feint. Sigurd doesn't dodge her, but he's surprised to see she didn't actually hit him. Scarlet simply touches his face with her fist and tells him that it's all behind them now. After all, he saved her many times as well from other nobles who wanted to mess with her in the past. Sigurd explains that he was merely playing his role as a knight, so he doesn't deserve her mercy. Scarlet questions that, but this gets him a little nervous, and Julius tries to hold his laugh at the whole situation. After the meeting ends, now that Scarlet knows that the Prime Minister was behind it all, she assumes that he was the one who sent the maid who tried to kill her in the morning. She decides to check on him in the shed, but is attacked by a small beast. As soon as she steps in, Scarlet just punches it and scolds it for its behavior, saying that she knows he's the Beast King, Nanaka. In a matter of seconds, that beast morphs into the boy from before, and he doesn't hesitate to grab the dagger again. Nanaka tells her that he's going to kill her because it's the only choice he has. Just then, Scarlet notices the slave crest on his chest, knowing that any who bear it must obey all orders from their assigned master. She then asks him if he would tell her everything he knows about the one who sent him if she were to free him. A little skeptical, Nanaka dares her to try if she can, saying that if she succeeds, he'll tell her anything she wants to know. Much to his surprise, Scarlet slams him against the floor and uses her magic on him to reverse time. She explains that all people are born favored by one of the world's many gods. Most people go their whole lives never realizing which god favors them, but some do, and it allows them to manifest that god's power, which is known as a blessing. In a matter of seconds, the slave crest on Nanaka's chest disappears, and Scarlet explains that she merely restored his body to how it was before. She used the power of reversal, part of the blessing of Kronoa, god of time. This is the reason the royal family wishes to secure her place in their kingdom, but in practice, it has many limitations, and it burns through her energy quickly, so she'll die if she uses too much too quickly. Her use of acceleration at the ball is what caused her to pass out, but that's supposed to remain a secret. Knowing that Scarlet saved him and released him from slavery, Nanaka decides to keep her secret, since Beast can never forget a debt. He also confesses that he was hired by Godwin Bean Carmine because she struck his son Heine and ordered him to tear her limb from limb. He was one of the many nobles she punched at the ball, but Scarlet doesn't even remember him. That said, Nanaka explains that the reason he originally sent him here wasn't to kill her, but to spy on House Vanian. He sent spies like him into all kinds of noble houses, exploited their weaknesses, encouraged them to participate in the slave trade and take bribes, and did other stuff to get them on his side. That's how he gets more people to support him, and why no one dares to defy him. Hearing all of that, Scarlet makes up her mind, saying that she'll kick the ass of Lord Godwin. Nanaka tries to stop her, warning her that Godwin's always surrounded by guards, so she should lie low and let her brother and the first prince handle the situation. Scarlet clarifies that that wouldn't be fun for her, so she's determined to beat the tar out of Godwin before he is arrested. Unable to fight her on this, Nanaka explains that Godwin attends a slave auction once a month, and the next one is in a week. He doesn't know where it's held, but he can probably get her in contact with a slave trader, so he wants to go with her, if it means revenge on the man who deceives his kind, enslaves them, and sells them off. Then he'll gladly be a traitor. Scarlet changes her mind about going alone, so she accepts taking Nanaka with her to the capital, Grinhilda. 3 days later, she and Nanaka walk around the slums, but Scarlet isn't happy to see that Julius has decided to go with them. She asks him if he shouldn't be pursuing his own avenues towards exposing Godwin, but Julius explains that it's merely educational. After he graduates from the academy, he'll be locked up in the palace to learn about kingcraft. So he wanted to see, while he's still free to do so, what life is like in his kingdom. He has no intention of being a figurehead, so if he must rule, he wants to do the best he can to create the perfect kingdom. That's why, if they're going to seek out its dark underbelly, it's crucial that he accompany them. Scarlet asks him for the real reason, so Julius directly tells her that he could never miss out on something so potentially amusing. He happened to overhear their conversation in the cabin, and it set his heart aflutter. Scarlet isn't impressed by this since she had a feeling that would be it. Just then, a group of bandits approaches them with bad intentions, but Scarlet is more excited than ever, knowing that they're the vicious hoodlums she's heard so much about. Nanaka quickly asks her not to hit them yet, but she tells him that they hardly seem amenable to discussion. Julius laughs at this, but Nanaka ignores him and approaches the bandits, saying that they're looking for a middleman named Junk. Of course, all of them refuse to speak, planning to get their money after beating them up. Before they can do anything to them, Scarlet uses her magic to enhance her physique, seeking to educate them on the taste of her fists, and wanting payment for her lesson. Once again, she uses the blessing of Kronoa, acceleration, and in less than a second, her fist connects with the face of one of the bandits. They all fall one by one to her fists, and she also uses her legs to kick them with great force. Scarlet gracefully beats them up without effort, so the bandits quickly recognize her by another nickname, the Lady of Beatings, Scarlet. Julius can't hold his laugh at this, and the last man standing begs for mercy. But Scarlet tells him that if he intends to trample on others, then he should be prepared to be trampled on in return. Before she can hit him, the man desperately tells her the information she wants, confessing that Junk is hiding out in a bar just past here. Scarlet smiles and thanks him kindly for the information, but she still hits him anyway, knocking him out in a second. Julius is clearly amused after seeing all of this, but he asks them to let him speak to Junk since he might recognize Nanaka, so it's best if he goes alone. The three of them go to the bar the bandit mentioned, but Scarlet and Nanaka wait outside. After just a few minutes, Julius comes out of the place, having the name and location of the slave merchant, after just scaring him a little with an obvious lie. The next step is to find out how they will infiltrate the slave auction. And that's the end of today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, so you don't miss anything new. Scarlet goes to visit a nobleman named Zathan, who is actually the slave trader whose contact Junk gave them. Zathan is happy to see a new customer. However, he tells Scarlet that it is not ladylike to talk to a lowlife like Junk just to reach him when she could have asked any noble she knew for his address. Scarlet says that it doesn't matter now and then asks Zathan about his relationship with Jung. Zathan says that they didn't have any business relations. He just hired Jung to bring him any potentially valuable slaves that end up in the slums. Scarlet asks him what he means by that, and he replies that dwarves, elves, beastmen, and other species fall into the valuable category. He then points out Nanaka, saying that the beastman is also a really valuable specimen. As Nanaka gets anxious on hearing this, Scarlet asks Zathan how he figured out his servant was a beastman. He replies that he has enough experience in this line of work. He starts laughing with that, and Scarlet is almost tempted to beat the crap out of him right there, but Nanaka stops her, saying that they need to stick to the plan. Anyway, once the sick bastard stops laughing, he asks Scarlet what kind of slave she wants. She tells him that she has heard about a slave auction going to be held in the capital soon, and she wants to attend that. Zathan gets serious on hearing that and says that to join the auction, she needs to get verified. For that, she needs to reveal her status to other people in the auction circle and buy or sell at least 6 slaves. Scarlet offers him any amount of money he wants, but Zathan replies that it is not about the money. Instead, he says that if she can give him the beast folk slave she has, he will take her to the auction as the daughter of a distant relative. Scarlet is really furious on hearing this, but she somehow controls her anger and smiles politely, saying that if this is all that it takes to enter the auction, she is ready to give the slave to him. Soon after that, Scarlet and Nanaka leave the mansion. Scarlet still can't believe that slave trade is being carried out so openly in the kingdom. She is also glad that everything worked according to the plan, and Zathan behaved exactly like how Nanaka predicted. Nanaka is also surprised to see that Scarlet doesn't use her fists to solve all her problems, and she begins pinching him for joking around. As they return home, Scarlet asks Nanaka if he is sure about this, because even though she can clear his slave crest afterward, she cannot protect him when he's a slave. Nanaka replies that Zathan sounded like he was going to put him up for auction, and he won't let anyone hurt his merchandise before the auction. He adds that he is doing this to atone for the crime of trying to kill her, and then suddenly starts yawning. Scarlet understands that beast folk are mostly active during the night and sleep during the day. The very next moment, Nanuka transforms into his animal form as he falls asleep in Scarlet's arms. She takes him back to the inn where Prince Julius is waiting for them. Scarlet tells Julius that the negotiations were successful. He is shocked to hear that she was able to handle the situation without punching anyone. Scarlet is already pissed at this comment. Julius then says that he should have been with her to see this rare occasion where she solved things without violence. But the prince of the country can't go out to buy slaves. Scarlet doesn't plan to deal with him. So as soon as she puts Nanaka to bed, she decides to go outside to get some fresh air. Julius says that he was thinking the same thing, and he accompanies her, staying close to her all the time. Scarlet is irritated by this, but Julius keeps following her, saying that he has some business on this street. Just then, an apple pie merchant calls out to Scarlet, saying that he has an offer for cute girls. He says if she buys an apple pie, he will give her a free apple, and Julius decides to take advantage of the offer and buys one too. Next, a jewelry merchant tries to sell some cheap jewelry to her, and Julius buys that too. But not before haggle. He makes a purchase from a shady fortune teller as well, and Scarlet asks what business does he actually have on this street. Julius replies that he just made that up, and calls Scarlet cute for believing such an obvious lie. She is really pissed at him and punches a nearby wall because she can't punch the prince in the face. Julius just chuckles at that, and then gives her an apple pie that makes Scarlet feel like she is flying to heaven. Julius then apologizes for teasing her, but she replies that he can't win her apology with just an apple pie. However, adding another apple pie to that does the job, and Scarlet quickly forgives him. After that, Scarlet remarks that Julius knows the city's layout very well, and he replies that he used to skip classes regularly to explore the city. He asks how she feels on seeing the market. Scarlet remarks that when Kyle used to send her to buy bread for him, she didn't have much time to look around. However, now that she sees it, the market looks like a cheerful place. Julius is glad that she likes it, and he says that every time he came here, he wanted her to see this place. Scarlet wonders if he tagged along just because he wanted to show her around, and thinks that if he had just said it, she would not be as irritated. Suddenly, Julius starts monologuing, saying that he hates being bored. Ever since he was a kid, the only things that caught his interest were ugly and twisted things. He was always surrounded by stupid nobles who wanted to get into his good books, and he had to keep acting in front of them. However, then he saw Scarlet, who was not at all interested in him. On top of that, he saw his younger brother bullying her, so he decided to talk to her. He told her that he could complain to his dad if Kyle was scaring her, but Scarlet just gave him a creepy smile as she said that he just cracked a nice joke. That was the moment she had his undivided attention, and he never stopped finding her interesting. He once again says that he finds most things in the world boring, but he hates being bored. That is why he tries to keep interesting things around him, and right now, there is no one more interesting to him than Scarlet. With that, he suddenly leans in for a kiss on her cheek, and Scarlet is dumbfounded. Julius says that this is not the traditional romantic love, but he is confident that he likes her, and she is very dear to him. Later that night, as Scarlet sits alone in her room, she still can't believe what just happened. She plops on the bed, wondering if the kiss was another of the prince's tricks to annoy her. The next day, Scarlet goes to meet Zathan again and tells him that she will hand over Nanaka to him, but he must honor his promise. He agrees, but before that, he asks Scarlet for proof that the slave is really a beast folk. She asks him if he doesn't trust her, and he replies that it is just his policy to confirm the goods before accepting them. Scarlet orders Nanaka to transform, and he immediately turns into a cat or dog or whatever that creature is. Zathan is delighted to see that. Just then, a big, scary man with fangs growing out of his lower jaw enters the room. He stares at Scarlet and asks if she's the slave they are taking in today. Zathan tells the slave named Donovan that Scarlet is their customer and the beast folk with her as the slave. Nanaka is clearly not pleased to see him. Scarlet also realizes that Donovan is a half-human and half-magic beast, which makes him a lycanthrope. Zathan apologizes for his slave's rude behavior and then tells him to take away the beast. Donovan gets excited on seeing it and remarks that beastmen are known for their speedy regeneration. He puts a metal collar around Nanaka's neck and starts pulling him away, but Nanaka resists, making him angry. He swings his barbed whip in the air to hit him, but then suddenly, Scarlet grabs the whip with her bare hands. She tells Zathan that his slave is quite well behaved, and if he doesn't have the guts to punish him, she can do it for him. Donovan just scoffs at her. Even Zathan looks down on Scarlet, telling her not to provoke his slave because he is a former A-rank adventurer. He claims she needs to be as strong as a knight captain to take him down. Scarlet asks him why does it matter, and he grows confused and tells her that he is just worried about her. But then Donovan declares that it is too late. He is not going to let a woman walk all over his pride, and he decides to teach her a lesson. He starts pulling the whip away from her, but he can't even get it out of Scarlet's tight grip. He tries even harder, and Zathan tells him to stop joking around, because there is no way a girl can win against a man in a much higher weight category. Donovan replies that he is seriously trying his best. Then Scarlet asks Zathan if Donovan is going to be put up for auction as well. He replies that he is going to keep Donovan as his personal bodyguard and trainer for other slaves. That is good news for Scarlet, because she doesn't need to worry too much about him losing value after taking some damage. And then Scarlet suddenly tosses Donovan into the air before punching him into the stratosphere. Zathan's words are completely lost on seeing this, but Scarlet doesn't care about him. She turns to Nanuka and removes his collar to see that he is bleeding. She uses her healing magic to treat his wounds and hugs him, telling him that she will be back for him soon, and in the meantime, he should bear with the troubles he faces here. Scarlet turns to the noble about the broken window, and he tells her that she doesn't need to pay for the repairs. He even thanks her for disciplining Donovan, because he always fails to do that himself. Once Scarlet returns to her inn, she finds a familiar carriage parked outside the door. Her brother Leo comes out of it, and he is really mad at her. He tells her that she can tell him the full story once they reach the capital. As Scarlet sees Julius in the carriage, she curses him for being a useless prince who couldn't even stop her brother from finding out about them. Once they reach the capital, Leo starts drinking hard liquor at the tea table, asking both Julius and Scarlet if they have any common sense. He asks how they could risk their lives so casually, but Julius replies that they found the location of the slave auction, so it is all right. Leo calms down before saying that he also did some research and found that Prime Minister Godwin is organizing the auction himself. Scarlet tells him that the auction is in 2 days, and Leo panics as he starts planning things for the big mission. In the meantime, Scarlet starts staring at Julius, who smiles and asks if she wants some apple pie like they had the other day. She gets pissed at him for no reason, but then Leo interrupts them, saying that he has come up with a plan. First, he wants Scarlet to return home, but she refuses, saying that it is the only thing she can't do. Leo thinks that the only reason motivating her is punching Godwin in the face, but she replies that it is more than that. She says that ever since she was little, she saw that good people suffer while evil nobles keep on prospering. She believes that greedy, evil bastards can't be punished using normal means, and she needs to do something about them in her way. She suddenly gets up, saying that selfish and greedy nobles are the most satisfying targets to punch. Leo and Julius have their usual reactions to her violent tendencies. Scarlet says that normal people can't even beat nobles, but since she is the daughter of a high-ranking duke, she will be fine. Julius agrees with her, much to Leo's dismay, who fears that Scarlet's violent nature will ruin their family's reputation. However, the bigger problem is that people from the Vanquished Empire might be there at the auction. Both Scarlet and Julius get tense on hearing about that because the Vanquished Empire has been at odds with their Palestine kingdom for the last 300 years. They are known to be ruthless people who respect power as the only hierarchy, and they are ruled by strong dragon riders. Even though peace talks have started with the two nations recently, Leo has confirmed news that the Vanquished Air Force has been in contact with Godwin recently. Coincidentally, at the same time, Prime Minister Godwin is having a meeting with some officials from the Vanquished Aerial Army. He is furious at Scarlet for crashing Kyle's party and derailing their plans, and asks the soldiers to get rid of her. The red-headed soldier gladly accepts the mission and flies away on his dragon, but Godwin is not pleased by his cocky attitude. Just then, a girl tells him to forget about the dragon riders and look at what she has got. She points a gun at Godwin, but since guns have not been invented in this world yet, he doesn't know what it is. The girl tells him that it is a gift from the goddess Palmia. Godwin pulls out his pendant, saying that he already has a gift from her. He doesn't think that the funny-looking cylinder can do anything, but as the girl shoots a flower vase with a pistol, he is shocked out of his senses. The girl turns out to be none other than Taryn, Kyle's side chick, and she tells Godwin to use this weapon that can kill even the most fearsome enemies to win his upcoming battles. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next. Our episode today begins with Scarlet as she steps out of her car and tells Lord Zathrin, "Thank you again for inviting me this evening." He replies, "You light up the world, truly, but be sure to wear this disguise robe." She agrees and puts it on. We learn she is going to Mama Syria, because if the Red Sky Knights of Vanquish City are truly involved in deception and injustice, Scarlet will deal with them with firmness and strength. We then see her in the auction hall, which is about to begin. It is likely that 10 agents from the organization will be brought in, and naturally they will be forced to surrender their weapons inside the place. Those sent are skilled fighters. Even if they use their magic, they will face great difficulty because they want to capture a person named Godwin. As for Scarlet, she is very strong. Even without a weapon, she will be able to do everything. Perhaps she can also take down all those involved in the slave auctions, including Godwin. About an hour later, the auction is completely full, while we see Scarlet, the savior of that iron-fisted kingdom, awaiting the implementation of the next phase. She is truly a beautiful and strong girl. No one can challenge her power. At that moment, we see the officials outside, and one comes to the Lord and says, "My lord, the castle knights are now in position, my lord Leonardo." "Bravo, guard well. We will enter when Prince Julius gives the signal. And now, if my sister can fulfill her promise, that will be a great thing." The scene flashes back to what happened previously, where he tells her, "I will allow you to sneak in, but please avoid any unnecessary fighting." Back to the present, Lord Leonardo moves and says, "My sister? I know she is a very mischievous girl, and she will never be silent. Perhaps I should stop her." The scene shifts to Scarlet as she enters the hall, and we see people talking to each other and looking for slaves. Some people want peasant slaves, others want slaves to raise their children, and others also want slaves for sex. Everyone has different opinions. The man sitting and wearing 3 rings on his finger says, "I intend to look for a girl to give as a gift to my nephew." As for the man with the goatee, he says, "I want to hold a show where slave fighters fight to entertain the audience." At that moment, the lights go out, and it seems the auction is about to begin, while we see Scarlet roaming the place. Then the auctioneer actually comes and says, "The auction will now begin. Listen carefully. Everyone is excited. Everyone is waiting. They will pay a lot of money for strange things. Everyone is ready. Everyone has a lot of money and will buy what they want." The first item they have is that girl from the bird folk with 1 wing. They started at 50 gold pieces and reach 100 gold pieces. At that moment, we see Scarlet and Julius comes and joins her. She asks him, "Aren't you the mission leader? What are you doing here?" He replies, "I came to check on you. Did you find Godwin?" She informs him, "Not yet, although I have some ideas about where he is." She told him, "Listen, I have a suggestion for you. Please keep the knights outside. Don't let them enter now, because I want to give the corrupt minister Godwin a hard time and a proper beating," he told her. "No problem. You are stubborn. You want to do everything alone. I actually came here to see you punch this fool in the face, which is the main reason I joined the stealth team. But if I respond to your request, what will you give me in return?" She replied, "I will pledge my unwavering loyalty to the throne and the kingdom for the rest of my life." He told her, "No, I don't want that. I want you to swear your loyalty to me. I want to marry you," she told him. "I have no problem. It must come to that eventually, as you are the heir to the throne." Then they search everywhere for Godwin. He must be upstairs. We will now witness an unparalleled brutal beating that Scarlet, that strong girl, will deliver. The scene now shifts to those slaves who are imprisoned, and we see that girl screaming. That young man holds her and says, "Don't resist, it's no use. We won't be able to get out of here." People are praying and saying, "Oh God, let us get out of here," but maybe their wait will be long. Then we see that young man, the strong character, and he tells her, "Don't worry, you and your mother will be safe." Then he says to himself, "I'm counting on you, Scarlet." The scene shifts to the hall, and we see Scarlet, who has beaten many people, walking with the prince. "Bravo. May God not let you have beaten them too badly." At that moment, she reaches that group, uses her power, and hits them one after the other. She was very strong, and her movements were so agile that no one could match her strength. She hits with her hands, her feet, and the heel of her boot. She did not leave a single one without fighting him and knocking him out completely. At that moment, the door bursts open at the party and everyone is surprised and says, "What's happening?" Then she finally takes off the mask, and Lord Heine sees her and says, "How did you get in here? Get out, girl!" She tells him, "I won't leave, and you will now watch a beautiful show. I hope you enjoy it." Then he uses his power, but unfortunately, the prince easily nullifies his power. Yes, my friends, it is Prince Julius who was able to extinguish that ability with his royal ring with the red stone. Everyone is shocked, but they mock him and summon that large werewolf, Donovan, perhaps a man who has transformed into a werewolf. His manager orders him to kill Scarlet and the prince. Indeed, that werewolf attacks, but the bodyguard comes and cuts off his arm immediately. Then he apologizes for being late because he was in a deep sleep ready to fight those people. But Scarlet grabs him by the neck and tells him, "Sit here, you idiot. You won't handle any of them. You should only handle one matter. But leave these people to me. I must have some fun with them, one after the other." Scarlet begins by grabbing one of them and spinning around with him, and she is very happy and speeds up the rotation significantly, eliminating all these thieves and this gang and throwing this thief down onto a table below the rest of the audience. People are shocked by this. And then Leonardo goes to Scarlet. He has come to check on the situation as he hadn't received the signal, and he is stunned because she has finished off everyone and eliminated them all. She tells him, "I didn't kill anyone, I only used the flat of my sword." Suddenly we see Sieghard fighting this wolf downstairs, and the customers and everyone are running away. Scarlet tells the prince, "I don't think we will leave here without giving Minister Godwin a beating, and I won't do anything else, Your Highness." The prince then orders the pursuit of Godwin, which annoys Scarlet. The prince tells her, "Don't worry, I will make sure Godwin is defeated by your hands alone." Then the prince says in front of Leonardo, "I have made a pact with Scarlet and therefore I must keep my promises to her." Leo can hardly believe this. Scarlet says, "I have sworn my life to Prince Julius." Leo is greatly shocked but is happy that his sister is pleased. The prince then gives the signal for the knights to enter, and Leo, still in disbelief, says, "My sister, who only found joy in beating others, is getting a good marriage." He then activates his eyes search function to find Godwin's location and sees him escaping, accompanied by his son Heine, heading to the roof via the central staircase. Suddenly, a dragon approaches the roof, and they all quickly rush after Godwin to catch him before he escapes. Scarlet removes her shoes to speed up her pursuit because they are very far from them, and she orders her brother Leo to take care of the others. She activates her maximum acceleration and rushes up the stairs like a rocket, reaching the roof in seconds, in the blink of an eye. She sees Godwin and his son trying to escape on the dragon, but Haney boasts to the young man who is riding the dragon, saying, "A lowly soldier like you should show respect to men of high status like us." The young man then gets angry and orders the dragon to strike them down with its tail. At this moment, Scarlet attacks the dragon and stops this attack because she wants to eliminate them herself. Godwin is shocked because Scarlet is standing over him, having been defeated. She then sarcastically welcomes Minister Godwin and says to him, "I missed you, Minister, during our separation." This young man then descends from the dragon, amazed by Scarlet's strength, as she stops the dragon's tail with one hand because her power is incredible. He then bows to her because he has fallen in love with her. "Will you marry me?" But she refuses and slaps him in the face, sending him flying high, where he hits the wall and is instantly defeated. The dragon is shocked by this immense power and tries to defend itself, but Scarlet hits it with a single, one-handed blow and defeats it. This young man then gets up again, very amazed by this terrifying strength, and says, "You didn't just punch my face, you also knocked down my dragon Rex with a single blow? I've fallen even more in love with you, Scarlet. Please accept my proposal." She hits him with a big punch with her fists. But this young man is insistent on marrying her. He has fallen deeply in love with her and starts flirting with her. She hits him with successive blows but to no avail, as this young man is determined to marry her. She is surprised by his persistence and says to him, "Didn't you come here to kill Godwin? Why are you interested in me? Are you sure I am the one who deserves your attention, first prince of the Vanquish Empire? Alflaim Riera Vanquish." He admits to her that she is right. "I came here to kill these men." Godwin becomes very angry and says, "I gave you all that information and now you want to abandon me? You promised to make me a minister in Vanquish." The prince says, "You have already betrayed one kingdom, so how did you think I would trust you with the fate of another? Accept your death as a traitor with honor now." He then strikes him with his spear, a very strong blow, but at the last moment, Scarlet destroys this spear, saying, "You won't deprive me of my prey." This prince says to her, "It is unbecoming of ladies to expose their legs like that." And he steps towards her and grabs her leg, saying, "This is what makes me admire you more, Scarlet." She replies to him, "And it is unbecoming of men to touch a lady's leg." And she smiles at him. This prince begins flirting with her, saying, "Have you finally decided to accept my love?" She is surprised by his words and is surprised that he is very confident in his endurance. He informs her, "Yes, because I have metal solidification, a special ability of mine that makes my body impervious to any physical attack, and you won't be able to defeat me with your bare fists. If you understand my words, step back and let me get rid of this scum." But Scarlet refuses, as she knows a way to defeat him. Suddenly, she grabs his head and kicks him, strong kicks to his face, causing significant damage to him, and he falls to the ground afterwards. Then she activates her acceleration ability, grabs him from the ground, and throws him high into the sky to send him back to his kingdom. Then she turns to Godwin, "Finally, the moment I have longed for." He begs her to calm down and apologizes to her for using Terranisa to break her engagement to Prince Kyle. She realizes that Terranisa received support from him and also realizes that he was the one who arranged her meeting with Kyle and was the cause of her humiliation at the party. Godwin begs her to keep him alive and he will provide her with a lot of information about Terranisa. She is not from this world but was brought here, incarnated from another world with a supernatural power. And here our episode ends. Will Scarlet eliminate him or keep him alive and get information from him about this girl who came from another world? This is what we will find out in the next episode, so follow us. But please subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. Please, Whoever watches the video until the end, comment from which country they are watching us. At the same time, the royal palace knights entered to save the slaves from the merchant, especially Garen, who the merchant was about to take and flee with. Since Scarlet specifically recommended him, they got involved as quickly as possible to rescue him. When we return to Scarlet, we notice she's standing, looking exhausted and trying not to show it, as she has lost most of her strength from all the hitting she did to the people at the party, especially the Crimson Dragon Brigade leader, Rear. But Joden isn't thinking about any of that. He's just defending himself against her, telling her he's not the cause of everything happening and that Turn is behind it all. He told her that Turn came to him one day and said, "You must help me create a happy ending." She told him then that she would make a plan to get close to Prince Kyle, marry him, and become the queen of this kingdom. If he helped her with this, she would keep the prince's attention away from his position and no one would focus on what he was doing in secret. He keeps trying to convince her that this was his entire purpose, and he doesn't want to kill her or anything, but Scarlet wasn't paying attention to anything he was saying. She tells him, "Why are you annoying us? When should I hit you to finish this whole ordeal?" He quickly tries to stop her, saying, "You must have something you want in this world. Don't worry, my authority can help you get what you want, but please, don't hurt me," she replied. "Okay then, I want a human punching bag, someone whose nose is as big as Squidward's house in SpongeBob, brown eyes, and a body like a pregnant chicken." Full of horror, he said, "But those are my descriptions." She said, "Bingo, the party's on you, you egg." And whoomph, she gives him the first punch to his face, saying, "This is for the people you exploited, and this one is for the slaves who suffered from your injustice, and this is for Garen whose life you messed with, but this one is because you tried to kill me and destroy my life. As for the last one, it's just because I want to hit you, just like that, for no reason." Finally, she makes his face a mess until she loses her strength, and strands of her hair turn black from exhaustion, and she also falls to the ground. But Prince Joe catches her. She mistakes him for her brother Leo, but Joe tells her, "Would you mind if I told you I'm Joe, not your brother?" Then he asks her if she's able to stand up with him, but she lets him know she can't even move her fingers. He seizes the opportunity and says, "Okay then, let me carry you," but she refuses, of course. Before they get into their usual banter, Leo enters with Sigurd and Garen, who are worried about our heroine when they see her fallen. But she reassures them she's fine and apologizes to Garen for not coming to help him herself, but he tells her the most important thing to him is that she's okay. Then Leo asks where Joden is. As soon as they look, they find Joden holding a gun, angrily saying, "You must die, Scarlet," and fires at our heroine, but the self-sacrificing Valentino, Prince Joe, shields her with his own body and takes the bullet in her place, telling her, "As usual, you drop your guard at the end." Suddenly, he falls to the ground. Joden was about to die of joy when he saw Prince Joe killed because he genuinely got rid of a huge obstacle in his way and was brazenly standing there celebrating it. Scarlet, who couldn't move her fingers earlier, springs up like the poor man's Batman and starts hitting him, but he laughs hysterically with utter provocation, telling her, "It doesn't matter how much you hit me, coming from scum like you, because nothing will happen to me anyway." At that moment, Scarlet notices he's wearing a sacred necklace that gives him strength. She immediately snatches it from him. He becomes extremely angry and demands she return the necklace. She tells him, "I'll give it back to you, but with my punch." Angrily, she delivers a powerful punch, telling him, "You idiot, don't you know what you did? You killed Prince Joe, but she doesn't finish her sentence and gives him the final blow, telling him, "Apologize to Prince Joe in the afterlife." And she sends him flying off the entire building. She looks at the fallen Prince Joe and tells him, "There, I got you your justice. You can die in peace now." He replies to her, "Just like that? You're going to kill me? You couldn't wait to be rid of me?" Here we see that Leo was the one who used healing magic to help Prince Joe stand up. He replies to Scarlet, "Don't tell me you're upset that I'm still alive. Now I'd be upset." She said, "Hey man, it's good that you're okay. You would have had us owing you a favor, but oh well, it's fine that you're okay." Afterward, they leave the building, and Leo warns Joe not to do something dangerous like that again, because he's the prince of the country and shouldn't sacrifice himself for anyone, even if it's his sister. Anyway, all the slaves in the building are freed, and Garon walks with our heroes and gets into their car. There they see Joden thrown against a tree, naturally all beaten up, but he turned out to still be alive, so they took him to the ambulance, and he will be judged for his actions anyway. As for Garon, he checks on Scarlet and learns from her that she accomplished the mission she came to this place for. On the other side, we see Rear stuck in the tree, and his servant comes to rescue him. He tells him he was in a major incident where he didn't manage to win for the first time. The servant asks him, "Did you enjoy your new game though?" Rear remembers Scarlet, his eyes gleaming, and answers him that he enjoyed it more than he could have imagined, and he's waiting for the day he meets her again. The servant said, "I just hope next time you meet her, it doesn't end like this, with you stuck in a tree." He said, "It doesn't matter, sir, as long as I see her. I'll send a spy to the palace to find out what she likes and dislikes. Honestly, I want to know everything about her." The servant was surprised by his words and thought he must have hit his head to be talking nonsense like that. Days pass and the news of Prime Minister Joden's arrest spreads. Everyone in the kingdom was happy because he was corrupt and they knew that Scarlet was behind it all. She gained great popularity for this, and everyone saw her as their role model and became interested in knowing what she likes, such as what kind of pets she likes, a cat or a dog. So they could do the same, but they don't know that Scarlet has taken the dragon that was with Rear and is basically playing with it as a pet with her thug friend Sadia. Even the merchant, she made him her servant, and he keeps bringing her a sturdy punching bag to hit during her free time. But let's say this period saw calm after the corrupt were arrested. Meanwhile, Turn goes to visit Joden in prison. Of course, when he sees her, he's happy because they were allies, and asks her to get him out of this prison, but she shocks him by killing him in prison so her secret won't be revealed. With utter malice, she says, "The time has come for me to move you away from the spotlight, Scarlet. You've gained a fame you don't deserve, and I will destroy your career and destroy you personally. Where will Scarlet turn to now?" Time passes and the guards find Joden dead, and a state of great panic occurs in the prison. As for Prince Joe, he was sitting with Leo working on recording the latest events, such as that after a month had passed since the slave case, everyone who had a hand in the slave trade was arrested, imprisoned, stripped of all their possessions, and even lost their lands. On top of all that, they changed all the employees in the royal palace, meaning the kingdom was finally cleansed of all those corrupt people. However, they were suspicious about Joden's death. It was supposedly recorded as a suicide, because there was no evidence that he was murdered, but Joe knew that Joden loved himself and would never commit suicide. He kept wondering who could kill Joden until the sacred necklace he always wore came to mind, and the inscription on it was, Balmia Cult. Here we learn that the kingdom has two widespread cults, one called the Holy Faith and one called Balmia. The Holy Faith consists of good people and has existed since the beginning of the kingdom until the Balmia cult appeared. People of influence created it and convinced many to join it until it eventually became the most popular cult, even though the better cult is undoubtedly the Holy Faith. For this reason, the prince began to suspect that Joden might have been killed due to this conflict between the cults, for example. Anyway, he got fed up with work, so he sent Garen to get him a favorite drink from the market to reduce stress. At the same time, Joe asks Leo if Scarlet has gotten better now. He tells him that she is consistently taking her treatment and improving, and even her hair has started to return to its natural color. Then he says Scarlet will surely be planning a quiet life in the coming period. Joe laughs then and says, "A quiet life with Sadia the thug? Don't mix, man. She's someone who can't breathe without hitting something. I'm sure she'll be back to cause new trouble." He angrily said, "Please don't say that, it makes me stressed. I just refuse to let her go hunting to get food for the dragon she has." Joe felt then that Scarlet had strange behaviors, but was an interesting woman, and he always felt she was fun for him, so he forgets Leo is sitting there and speaks his mind a little, saying, "If Scarlet were next to me every day, my days would never be boring. I say I should propose to her." "I really like this girl, guys." Leo the Horned One laughs and tells him, "Didn't she swear that she would obey you forever after you fulfilled her request anyway?" Garen and Sigurd intervene at that moment and are shocked when they hear this conversation, but Leo and Joe tell them that this is a secret that no one should know about yet. On the other hand, Scarlet is not sitting quietly, even after her brother refused to let her go out and she decided to ride the dragon and flee, but since she still doesn't know how to handle its flight, she was about to cause a massive accident because we see her riding the dragon and unable to stop it, and it's heading towards the palace gate. At that very moment, two of her friends from school arrive to see her, but they find her coming at them with a dragon and they must stop it immediately. So, why are they here? How will they manage to escape the dragon, and what else have Scarlet's enemies planned for her? This is what we'll find out more about in the next episode. Scarlet receives a letter from Saint Diana saying she wants to see her at Diana's cathedral. So Scarlet vows to go and protect her from everything. The next day, she tells Leo she wants to go on a trip to the hot springs. Leo doesn't believe her and asks who she plans to beat up this time. Scarlet blames Leo for not trusting her, but Leo tells her he no longer believes even half a word of what she says. She always promises she won't hit anyone, yet half a chapter later, we find a noble with a broken nose. Plus, she lied to him about the oath she took to Julius. Scarlet tells him that oath isn't a lie, but her brother doesn't believe her. Nanaka finishes the map and asks her if she plans to beat up the saint. Leo hears this and almost has a heart attack. He also remembers that his sister always goes there at this time of year. He looks at the route and realizes it is the same route as the pilgrimage. Scarlet tells him that the saint is loved and revered by the entire kingdom, so she would never think of hitting her. Leo finally believes her and agrees to let her go to the hot springs, but he asks her to try not to cause too much chaos. Please. Scarlet thanks him and tells him, "I'm leaving now before you change your mind." But upon arriving at her carriage, she finds Julius already waiting to accompany her. On the way, Scarlet tells Julius what happened with her brother and admits to him that she can't tell him she is going on the pilgrimage. Julius agrees to keep her secret just to play a prank on Leo. He also tells her that ever since the Goodwin incident, the kingdom has been in utter chaos. Even though they got rid of the corrupt ones, the neighboring countries are acting strangely toward them and the castle is in disarray. They suspect there are spies among them. They arrive at the starting point of the pilgrimage at the wall of impurities that surrounds the ecclesiastical district. It's almost like the Vatican with two sects, the Palmea sect and the Church of Diana. The wall was ordered to be built by the Pope of the Palmea sect. He says it is to maintain the purity of the sect. But we all know he did it just because he hates immigrants. What a son of a... The Pope is named Benedict, as he says. Ah, don't believe it. His name is Lord Sargon. And if you think his name sounds like a damned name, that's because you haven't heard what they used to call him when he was a corrupt merchant. They nicknamed him the Filthy Climbing Fox, and they chose him to be the Pope. The carriage stops suddenly because they closed the gates of the wall just when they were about to pass. They ask the guard at the top, "What's wrong, dude?" He answers them, "Sorry, Sargon ordered us not to let anyone pass without permission from the king. Oh, that damned old man just wants to prevent the pilgrimage because it is not a follower of his sect." Then Julius gets out and tells him that his father, the king, is on a diplomatic trip, so he cannot issue permits, and accuses them of trying to sabotage the pilgrimage. At that moment, an idiot appears to pick a fight. He introduces himself as Hamon. Jamon, or the Iron Hammer, is an inquisitor of the Palmea sect. As soon as Scarlet saw his fat rolls, she felt an urge to blow them up with blows. Jamon tells them he will expel the heretics who want to harm his beautiful sect. Julius tells him his father won't allow that, and asks him if he is acting on Sargon's orders. Jamon tells him, of course, because inquisitors are his most obedient dogs, and boasts about the thunder hammer given to him by the goddess Palmea to punish heretics. Julius records all this nonsense as sufficient evidence to let Scarlet do whatever she wants. She starts by blasting the large gate. Jamon recognizes her, and all the soldiers know she is the noblewoman who will break your bones 5 times before you hit the ground, so they flee. Amon comes down to confront her with his hammer. Scarlet borrows a spear from one of the soldiers to hit his iron mass and strikes him in his guts. However, she realizes she didn't cause him any damage. The man gets up and shows off his amulet, which is the same amulet that Goodwin had, which protects him from blows. And once again, what a bad idea for that thing to come out. Scarlet lands a massive uppercut on him that sends him into the sky. After that, reinforcements arrive. As usual, they arrive late, but they arrive. It is Diana's army, led by Sir Baragus, an old friend of Scarlet. He apologizes for arriving late. They tell them they had to face many members of the Palmea sect at different points, and it seems half the soldiers have been severely beaten. At that moment, a new character arrives, and as soon as he sees Scarlet, he starts flirting with her. Baragus tries to land a hit on him for his rudeness, but the boy dodges them all until they catch him and restrain him with a strong move. The boy apologizes and introduces himself as Deus Got. He grabs Scarlet's hand and asks her, when she is going out to buy bread, asks her to be his girlfriend and to go buy tortillas together. Scarlet tells him, "Dude, it's not classism, but I don't go out with anyone ranked lower than a duke." Deus tells her not to worry because although it doesn't look like it, he is an elf prince. Well, although only half elf because his mother is human. Scarlet understands the matter, but she still wants to punch him for his audacity. Deus senses something and lets go of her hand. At that moment, Julius pushes them apart and tells him, "This is my princess, find your own," and orders him to stop flirting with Scarlet in front of him. Deus says to him, "Really? You and whose army?" Our colleagues in the army look at him with hatred because the guy is going to get them in trouble, and they take him away before he ruins everything completely. Scarlet notices that he isn't an ordinary person because he managed to anticipate her intentions. Well, after that, they can continue their way to see Diana. They meet with her in a hall, but Julius tells her he needs to discuss the details of the pilgrimage, and it is best to do so in private, so he asks her to go alone to the meeting room, and they do so. It turns out Diana isn't an arrogant and conceited goddess. She is a little girl who loves Scarlet, so as soon as she arrives, she runs into her arms. She calls her sister, but I'm not entirely sure if they are actually sisters. Julius tells her that the correct thing is to greet him first, but Diana tells him, "Man, you disgust me," and asks him to leave her alone. Julius tells her that if she continues with this tantrum, he will summon her attendants, something Diana doesn't want because it will steal precious time she could spend with her dear Scarlet. She manages to free herself and tells Scarlet that the annoying prince is bothering her. Scarlet comforts her, but tells her that now they have to talk about the pilgrimage. But before that, what is the pilgrimage, you might ask? I don't know either, they will tell us now. Here is the story and why it is important. It all started about 300 years ago. At that time, the kingdom was called Pakistan. That's its name, dude. I didn't name it. That's what the kingdom is called. And it was invaded by monsters sent by the Demon King. They began to invade the kingdom. Such chaos, such destruction. And, well, that was when a young woman appeared in a border village possessing the ability to expel evil with the prayer, Ave Maria. After expelling all the monsters, she placed large stones, called holy purifying gems, in the border villages in the 4 cardinal directions, and thus erected a very strong barrier that prevents monsters from attacking them again. Up to here, everything is great. The problem is that the battery of those gems runs out. When the young woman died, people thought it was over. Everything is finished. But another young woman named Diana appeared, and by coincidence, she had the same name as the one who placed the barrier, and she upgraded the gems and restored the barrier, meaning she put new batteries in them. The king built a cathedral to honor her, and they began to revere them as religious figures. And since then, whenever the barrier is about to collapse, another young woman appears to change the batteries of the gem. These women are called Saint Diana and become a symbol of the faith of that religion. Julius thinks they now have the worst Diana of all, that spoiled lolly. But, well, the important point is that they have to do the pilgrimage to restore the barrier, so they must take her to do it. Diana thinks, what a drag. What if we order an Uber instead? But it doesn't work that way. They have to show that the saint is fine so that faith in her doesn't go down the drain. Diana hates everything and wants to end the meeting. She asks Scarlet if she will stay to sleep, and Scarlet tells her yes, and the meeting ended there. At night, Scarlet tells Diana about all the battles she fought in the recent chapters. Oh yes, Diana loves these stories because, well, when she grows up, she wants to be a skull crusher like her. Strong, bossy, independent, and not having to beg any man. Scarlet asks her if she really hates men. She tells her that they indeed annoy her because they are rude, have beards, and are muscular. Scarlet asks her what she thinks of Prince Julius. She tells her he is handsome, but he spends his time calling her shorty. Scarlet says he mocks her too, and that annoys her even more. She wonders if she will ever meet a handsome husband with silver hair and blue eyes. Scarlet, who happens to own that set, tells her it is difficult to get that combination. At that moment, they knock on the door and tell Diana it is time to pee. Scarlet prepares to leave, but Diana asks her not to go and to spend the night with her. Scarlet tells her no next time. Diana tells her she has something to ask her. She doesn't like her name because it was given to her because there are thousands of girls who have the same name for the same reason. It's like those named Jesus. The important point is that she doesn't like the name, and when her father found out, he gave her a secret name, Sonia. They knock on the door again and tell them it is time to sleep. Scarlet gets up and wishes Sonia a good night, which makes her very happy. But we are not here to please anyone. Oh no. So we will continue calling her Diana. Scarlet goes to her room and remembers the night Diana confessed to her, with tears in her eyes and very moved that she had lost her powers and could no longer purify the crystals, leaving her in a crisis. Scarlet just hopes the gods have mercy on her at the ceremony. And, well, the day of the celebration arrives and they take Diana in a procession carriage, and as she passes, she sprinkles holy water on everyone. Everything is very beautiful, and suddenly, cannon shots are heard, and people say, "Dude, what's wrong? What is happening?" Then, they panic. Scarlet realizes the sound is coming from the Palmia Sect's palace, and she won't let them cause chaos. No sir, she flies there, smashes a statue in the garden and borrows its spear. And now she warns that things are going to go bad. Things will go bad for everyone. Ah, how I love this woman. Scarlet locates the bad guys and then uses her powers to throw the spear at them, causing their roof to collapse. But she has more to give. She takes the statue's head and carries it with her. Meanwhile, the Palmea followers wonder what the hell happened and why the roof exploded and a spear from the courtyard statue fell. Scarlet appears and says it was her fault. It also catches her attention that everyone was unharmed despite the explosion. By the way, why did it explode? It was a spear, not a bomb. Anyway, someone recognizes her as Scarlet, the Skull Crusher. Scarlet apologizes because she noticed they have some problems on their hands. They remind her that it was her fault, but they assure her she will pay the price. They boast that they have a very strong ally who has built a great reputation by smashing monsters like her. That's right, they are talking about none other than the great Inquisitor, Qatar the Wise. And yes, I know what you might be thinking. Qatar the Wise looks a lot like my Uncle Juan, the one who wanted to be a priest, but they kicked him out for shady behavior with his colleagues, and you know what I mean. But I swear to you, he is overflowing with power, especially now that because he sees that Scarlet is carrying the head of the statue of his beloved goddess in her hands. Scarlet tells him, "Well, dude, I found this trash outside and just wanted to return it." Oh no. Damn. Qatar cannot allow such great desecration against his goddess, so he uses his great power to summon the goddess's 9 angry hammers. Scarlet tells him if he wants his head so much, he can keep it. Then she throws it in his face, causing Qatar the Wise to lose consciousness. Scarlet examines him and sees he also possesses one of those protective amulets. Qatar starts crying because they spent whole days planning how to cancel Diana's celebration, and now everything is ruined. Scarlet tells him, "Great, thanks for your confession." Then she hits him and knocks him out. The other followers don't want to just stand there watching and decide to attack en masse to avenge the unconscious Qatar. Obviously, you know what will happen. Scarlet will smash them all. After some time, the police finally arrive. Scarlet tells them that an evil being entered, smashed all the troublemakers, and then left. The beautiful girl returns and sees the castle healers taking care of the wounded. Obviously, Julius brought his best healers for the crisis, something Scarlet does not overlook. Diana sees her sister and greets her from her carriage, but unfortunately for her, the railing holding her breaks and Diana falls down. Luckily, Leo is nearby and manages to use his horse's saddle to jump and catch Diana. That's right, in the air, how awesome. Sigurd passes a report to Julius about the situation, and Julius admits to him that the Palmea followers had the exact date of their arrival and the pilgrimage. So he tells him, "I don't want to think we have a traitor among us, you bastard, but I think we have a traitor among us." So he tasks him with infiltrating the sect and finding out more about the matter. The pilgrimage continues. Leo asks his sister why she got so involved in this matter. She tells him she was just passing by when the cannon problem started, so she thought it was best to try to help them complete the journey, and that's why she canceled her vacation at the hot springs. "You are lying through all your teeth," says Leo, but is he willing to overlook it? What catches his attention is that when they reached the sect followers, they told them a silver-haired demon appeared to them and beat them severely. Scarlet puts on her best surprised face and tells him, "Oh my god, I didn't know demons existed." Yes, well, who is hungry? And she offers them some cookies to distract them. Leo is not stupid and knows his sister is not only involved but deep in this problem. Scarlet tells him she just wants to help them complete the pilgrimage. That's all. And that no one else can do it because she is the only one with a power so broken. Leo understands that and knows he cannot interfere, but asks her to consider that despite her broken power, there are things she won't be able to solve alone, and asks her to trust others when that happens. They arrive at their first stop and everyone sets up camp when Deanna's servants go looking for Scarlet because something strange is happening to their mistress. Scarlet thinks she is scared because she almost broke her head yesterday, but it's different. She enters the tent and sees her blushing and rolling around in bed. Scarlet enters and restrains her using the blankets. So she doesn't bite her or something. She asks her to calm down, but she can't, and admits to her that she can't stop thinking about the handsome man on the horse who saved her last time. Then she tells her everything, and in short, she has fallen in love with Leo. Scarlet tells her frankly that she has very good taste because her brother is a wonderful man, and tells her that actually she can help her get closer to him. He. After a week, they arrive at Memphis, where this barrier is located, and it is the first mandatory stop of the pilgrimage. The most attractive thing here is that they have therapeutic baths, and everyone takes the opportunity to refresh themselves. In the bath, Scarlet reviews the flirting plan with Diana. It's very simple. She has to ask him out on a night date because we are in 2025, almost 26, and women can ask men out. They go to the room to get her ready. She tells her she will go that day with her hair down to show that she is a free spirit and that clearly she can have a premarital relationship, something that matters a lot to men. Then she dresses her in a very cute kimono that says, "I am cute, and although I like fun, I am a decent girl." All this is part of Scarlet's plan because her big advice is not to be yourself, be the opposite of yourself. That is the side that others like. The proof is that you are always yourself, and you are single and everyone thinks you are ugly and unpleasant. Since she says it with such conviction and logic, Diana agrees to follow her plan. Scarlet looks out from her balcony, and there is Nanaka in his furry form. She tells him that if he was spying, she will assign him to watch them. Nanaka asks how she knew he was following her. Scarlet tells him she noticed him when leaving the capital and assumes he is following her because her brother asked him to. Nanaka tells them that Leo has already left his bath and is working in his room. He advises them to go now before the man falls asleep. Diana goes to ask him out to walk around the city, and luckily Scarlet had already prepared for that, and she told Leo that Diana sometimes wishes to feel like a normal girl, and asks him that if she ever invites him out, he should agree. So Leo listens to her and agrees. And he takes the opportunity to also go for a walk through the village festival. There he meets Julius, who asks him what she is doing. She tells him she came out to watch the adventurers because it seems in this anime they are huge idiots. Julius tells her she is just looking for an excuse to beat someone up, and that he doubts very much she will suddenly come across a gang of idiots causing trouble in front of everyone. At that moment, they hear a jar breaking in a stall, and inside there is a gang of idiots causing trouble in front of everyone. Look what a coincidence! The owner asks them to please stop and stop breaking his merchandise. One of them answers, "Shut up. We are adventurers and we are very bad, and that is why we are a gang of idiots causing trouble in front of everyone." Julius buys the entire stall from the man, and now Scarlet has the green light to distribute punches. Leo feels a prick in his butt as if someone in his family is staining his reputation. It's the worms. Meanwhile, Diana is standing at a stall where she has to catch small fish, but she tries like a desperate child, and for obvious reasons, catches nothing. She reminds Leo a lot of his little sister, which would be very suspicious if this relationship blossoms. He shows her the trick and catches a small goldfish for her. The vendor asks her if she wants to take it as a souvenir, so she says yes, but changes her mind immediately because she doesn't want to separate it from its friends, the other goldfish, so the vendor puts it back in the water. Leo and Diana continue their date and keep playing at other stalls. At one of them, they stop at a stall selling ears that Diana likes. The vendor tells her that if she buys one for her boyfriend and forces him to wear it, he will give her a discount, and Diana thinks, "What a great offer, dude." So she takes it. Diana walks very happily, and Leo thinks, "You are doing this for work, dude. You are doing this for work, dude. You are doing this for work." And in the meantime, a pair of drunks pass by, and although they are very happy in their drunkenness, Leo hugs Diana to move her away from them. As if she were going to catch some infection, he asks her not to move away from him. This excites Diana's emotions. But then the man pats her head and tells her she might trip over a drunk. Diana thinks it's cute that he worries about her. However, he doesn't do it in a romantic way. If you understand me, she feels there is no connection here as she would like. In fact, he does it as a babysitter. She asks him if she looks like a child to him. Leo apologizes and tells her, "The thing is, you remind me a lot of my sister when she was little." Diana tells him that is not true. Scarlet always has a poker face and looks for someone to smash their face. She is very different from her. Plus, she does everything well and everything goes perfectly for her, not like her, where she fails. At everything, he tells her that is not true, and that despite her young age, she has managed to perform her duty perfectly, which is very difficult and not just anyone can do that job. Diana was about to confess her dark intentions to him, but at that moment they hear a scream, saying something like, "Ah, the silver-hailed girl is making that man eat another man's foot." A soldier arrives and tells Leo that his sister is beating up a gang of adventurers who are acting very nicely and in a very friendly manner in front of everyone. Leo gets angry and decides to go solve the problem, so he tasks the soldier with taking Diana home, while Diana laments her luck because, as we saw in the last chapter, she no longer has powers. The soldiers are wandering around the festival when someone approaches and offers them a plate. Deus takes it very happily, but Bragas takes it from him and tells him that while on patrol he must be alert. Deus tells him not to be so grumpy, so he goes to patrol alone. What the others don't know is that he took a secret note from the plate. Meanwhile, in the Vanquish Empire, an investigator arrives. One a bit old, who wants to hire the Alflame forces and all his Crimson Dragons for a small mission. By the way, the old man is nicknamed the Machiavellian Strategist.